lessons that we bring to ourselves to elevate our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual being. Why do we do that? We do that because we want to bloom. We want to bloom as an individual. We want to bloom as a professional, and we want to prove as our best selves, both in our personal lives and also in our professional lives. And that is the effort. So this is the effort that we are taking as part of our self-care process. And when we look at ourselves, okay, looking at our own lives, we all wear different hats in lives. We have our families wherein we play the roles of a husband. We have a family wherein we play the role of a father, okay, brothers and sisters and mothers, okay, and so on. But apart from this, there are also other roles that we take up wherein we are involved in work. Work is a major part of our life. And there also we are involved as part of we are involved with various levels of responsibilities based on the designation that we are into. Okay, and based on this, we wear different hats. But the problem is whether we are able to manage and align these hats in a proper manner. Okay, that is the most important thing. And in doing so, self-care will be helpful for us, because with a good self-care, you'll be able to have the ability to balance all the rocks in your life, whether it is a bigger responsibility or a smaller responsibility, right? You'll be able to balance it well. And this will happen only when you practice self-care regularly and make it a priority in your life. Moving on, if we do this, what is that we are trying to do? All that we are trying to do by taking care of ourselves is we are trying to give 100%. Okay, we are trying to give 100% in this journey called life. And in this life, when we are talking about it, it does not only involve personal life, we are also talking about professional lives. So let us move on. I think that is the wrap up of yesterday's session that I just. But moving on into it, yesterday all of you took up this survey related to a standardized tool developed by Dr. Stam. Okay, and it is called as Professional Quality of Life tool. One major limitation of this tool is maybe not all of you are working. We know that there are some students too. And the other important thing, other limitation is also this tool is more focused on people who are involved in service-oriented professions like doctors, nurses, and let us say professional social workers, psychologists, and so on. So anyone who is involved in a helping profession, okay, okay, for them this tool is very much applicable. Of course, for others, maybe if you are interested, there are a number of tools that are available in terms of work-life satisfaction and so on. You can always take those tools and try to assess yourself in terms of how satisfied you are with your own environment. So try to understand this professional quality of life. Basically, the theory behind it is this professional quality of life states that there are two aspects in our professional quality of life. The first thing is called as compassion satisfaction, which is the positive aspects that we experience because of our work situations, because of our engagement with our clients, because of the service that we are involved. And it is also the positive aspects related to the environment and the policies of the organization. So as long as it is positive, it doesn't affect you. Okay, it only helps you to do much better, more better. So that is in terms of the compassion satisfaction. But there is another aspect also called as compassion fatigue. Okay, this is where we need to be careful. Okay, so apart from satisfaction, there also can be fatigue in terms of a profession, and we need to take care of this. And this compassion fatigue is broken up into two subcomponents or variables, wherein it could be assessed through burnout. Okay, you all know the concept of burnout. Okay, and basically it is like you are totally out of energy. You're not finding a purpose. Okay, and things like that to work. You don't find meaning to work and things like that, or you're exhausted. And you find everything to be useless or meaningless and things like that. So that is the first thing. Then the second component in terms of the compassion fatigue is a secondary trauma. All of us go through a certain kind of trauma, especially when we are involved in the caring professions or in the helping professions. For example, let me take our own profession like social workers or psychologists or doctors and nurses who are involved in it. Constantly, every day, we come across clients who are in trauma, whether it is physical trauma or mental trauma. Every day, we are looking at or listening to people's problems. Okay, people's problems. And when listening to people's problems and trying to interact with these people in terms of trying to solve their problems and so on, there is a lot of negativity that we talk about, that our clients talk to us. Okay, so at the end of the day, when you have met 5 or 6 clients in a day or something like that, when you look back, there is a lot of negative things that you have discussed with your client, because basically that is my profession. Okay, because basically that is my profession as a social worker. I need to discuss, I need to help them out, I need to help them find solutions for their problems and so on. But the most important part is you keeping yourself away from not being influenced by these negative emotions, by these negative influences that the other person has experienced. And what happens is, most of the time, if we are not self aware, we are affected by their trauma. We are affected by their negative experiences. And that is what is secondary trauma. Then it can sometimes it can also be primary trauma, wherein primary trauma is directly related to the trauma that we experience in our own lives. Maybe it can be in your own personal lives, or it can be maybe also in your own professional lives, wherein you are not being treated properly by your superior. Maybe there is a kind of verbal abuse or physical abuse or something like that, or to the extreme, it can even involve certain kind of harassment and so on. So that is something that is very, very direct. So that is called as primary trauma. But secondary trauma is basically when we are dealing with clients, whatever they are talking about, we are also getting influenced by it. All that we need to be aware of is how we are getting influenced and how to keep it at bay. And that is what this entire session will talk to you about. And why is that we are using this particular model is because any professional quality of life looks at 3 main domains. And the 3 main domains for us as a professional is, the first one is our personal environment, our families and friends. The second one is our work environment, which involves 2 components. One is basically the work environment in terms of the environmental policies, the people around us, and so on, and the kinds of professional relationship that we enjoy with the team that we are working and so on. And the other important aspect of the professional aspect is your client environment, basically the clients whom we come in terms of interaction with, or the people whom we serve. Okay, so what happens is all these 3 domains contribute to your compassion satisfaction, okay, which is a positive aspect related to your life. But it is also important to see that all these 3 components also contribute to the compassion fatigue, which means that your work environment, your client environment, and your personal environment can also bring about fatigue in your lives. So we have to be careful. So, and as I told you earlier, compassion fatigue is going to be negative, okay, and that is going to impact your lives in a very negative manner, and that in the longer run will ultimately impact your productivity, your overall efficiency at work, your relationships within families, your professional relationships within your organization and with your clients, and your overall effectiveness of work or productivity. Right? So that is very important, and that is where we need to focus on how to reduce this compassion fatigue. Okay, and that is what we are going to handle very much in detail today. But before starting off with it, let us also try to understand. I hope all of you have received the results of your survey that you did yesterday. And basically, when you look at compassion fatigue leads to exhaustion, frustration, and anger. Okay, and basically that all this will lead to depression by work environment. Okay, so that is what we call it out. That is what we call as the feeling of burnout. Okay, so that is one thing. Compassion fatigue can also lead to trauma by work. Okay, so when you are getting traumatized by work, which is basically either a secondary exposure or a primary exposure. Okay, as I told you earlier, secondary exposure is from experience of other people. Primary exposure is our own direct experience in these 3 domains, whether it is your work environment, whether it is your client, or whether it is your personal environment. So This whole session that we're talking about is, in terms of the dimension of self-care, is going to focus on how to reduce this compassion fatigue. What are the ways that we can reduce this compassion fatigue? What are the strategies that we can adopt to reduce this compassion fatigue and maintain a balance in our lives? Because we all know that our professional lives are important, okay? And we need to, maintain a balance between this professional life and the personal life. Okay, and that is what we are looking at today. And in terms of trying to understand your results, most of you would have got these results wherein they would have told you where your compassion satisfaction it as a high, moderate, or low. In the same way, your burnout and your secondary trauma, high, moderate, or low. So when looking at it, all these three factors, they have a complex relationship. As we saw earlier, they have a complex relationship. So try to, you can put yourself into any one of these categories. Let us say you have a high compassion satisfaction with moderate and low burnout, okay, and secondary trauma. This is the most positive result, okay, which means you are quite happy, okay. And these are the kind of a person who receive a lot of positive reinforcement from their work, okay. And the other important thing is these persons not only receive positive reinforcement, but these people are also able to influence their colleagues within the organization positively, okay, and make them also productive, okay, make the team more effective, and so on. So, and usually when you are in this particular domain or when you are in this particular category of professional quality of life, you are very much liked by your clients and they want to come back to you and they want to talk to you and they want these problems to be resolved by you. So this is the first category. The second category is maybe you have a high burnout, okay, and you have a moderate to low compassion satisfaction and secondary traumatic stress. So if you are in this category, you are at risk as an individual. You are at a risk as an individual. And you may also put the organization that you're working in at risk. So what needs to, why is that? Because basically you have a feeling that you cannot do anything. Nothing could be done with regard to your situations, or nothing could be done with regard to the work that you're doing, or nothing could be done to change the situations that you are into, be it in personal life or in professional life. Okay, something like that. So that is very, very important. And when this feeling is there in a person, it is very much likely that you disengage yourself from your clients because you yourself are not quite positive. If you remember yesterday, Madam was telling you cannot pour from an empty cup. This is what it means. So when you yourself are feeling helpless, okay, when you yourself feel that nothing could be done, you cannot help a client. You cannot help a person who has come to you for counseling. You cannot help anyone else in any way. So it is better that you stop helping people if you are into this category. And organizations as such have to be careful. If they have people into this particular category, they have to seriously consider the systems that are present within the organization in terms of how these organizations are promoting a better environment for these people, okay, in terms of accomplishing their goals, and how far people are supportive in terms of each other, in terms of accomplishing the tasks or the goals that is given to them. So that is a very, very important aspect that the organization also needs to look into. It is not only the person, but it is also the organization. Okay. Then the third category is in terms of you can have a high secondary traumatic stress with low burnout and low compassion satisfaction. If you are in this particular category, then you are typically overwhelmed by negative experience, especially at work. And it is not only a negative experience, it is very much characterized by fear. Okay, you have a lot of fear in terms of everything that is happening at work. And the best part is it will benefit if you are treated immediately for traumatic stress. So you need professional help. You can take certain amount of professional help and you can get back to it. And why we are telling you this is because when you are in this category, naturally you are very neutral. Neutral in the sense you have a neutral feeling towards everything that is happening. How effective are you? You don't know. How productive are you? You don't know about it. what is the kind of a pleasure or a pain that you feel? You don't know about it. So something like that. You're somewhere in the middle wherein you cannot even say whether you are happy about it or whether you're sad for it. So everything looks like the same. So it is something like a neutral stage of life. But this also can be changed. This also can be changed maybe like by seeking professional help, and also by trying to include changing your caseload within the organization. Maybe your workload could be reduced, your workload could be mixed, or the working environment could be changed a little bit, and a certain amount of safety measures could be brought in for the particular um, staff or something like that, so that they feel more secure and start being more productive. Then comes a fourth category, which talks about you are in the, let us say you're in the category of high secondary traumatic stress and with high compassion, okay, high compassion satisfaction with low burnout. Okay, this is a particular and a very unique combination. Okay, very unique combination, and especially for people who are at very high risk situations, like people who are working in areas of war, who are working in the army, or people who are working in areas related to civil violence and so on. Okay, basically, these people are highly effective. See, these people have a high secondary traumatic stress. They also have a high compassion satisfaction. Kindly excuse me. Because of which, what happens is they are often very highly effective with regard to their work, because their compassion satisfaction is also high, because they always feel that work is very important. That work is very important. But the worst other part is, though they might be very good at work, if you look at their personal life, they might be extremely fearful. Their personal selves will be extremely fearful. Okay, and because of which their engagement with others will be very, very difficult. That is another thing. And when we are looking at people in this category, okay, their high secondary traumatic stress, okay, is basically marked by thoughts, feelings, and memories of others' traumatic experiences. Meaning to say, these people who are in this category, they also experience primary trauma, they also experience secondary trauma. And what happens is when they work with a client, they always relate their trauma with the other client. Okay, and they perceive the other client's problems also from their own point of view, because they're able to relate not only as a professional, but they're also relating their trauma with the other person's trauma, which is not a professional way of dealing with the clients. And that is where we call it as, in social work, we call as the aspect of transference and counter transference, which all of us have to be very careful if we need to be quite objective. And the last category is the category wherein there is a most distressing category. If you have a high secondary traumatic stress and a high burnout and a very low compassion satisfaction, okay, this is a place where none of us want to be. It is the most distressing situation where anyone can be. Okay, it is a place wherein a person feels overwhelmed and useless in the work setting. Okay, and they are literally frightened of the workplace or of the work that they are doing. Okay, but the best part is this can be treated. Okay, it can be treated, and it can probably be helped by trying to remove them from the current working settings. It is always better that you are removed from such sort of a workplace, okay, and get treated and come back. And the treatment can either result in both positive outcomes, okay, but if you are returning to the same environment after the treatment, let us say your work environment is there, if you are returning to the same environment after your treatment, I think again you will go back into a similar kind of situation. So it is better that the environment that you work on is also modified, or you switch over from that place to some other place. That is the best thing that you can do. So this is with regard to your results. So now you know where you are, in which category you fall, and what situation you are, and we will look into how we can do it. So what are we going to do it? So basically, this is our situation in our life mostly is, okay, before work, we are all happy, okay, all smiling, but after work, we are just like the other one, we are totally burnt out, okay, totally tired and things like that. But this should not happen. If this is happening, which means we are not very happy or we are not very balanced in terms of our work and life situations. So all that we need to do is we need to take care of ourselves. That too, we need to provide good self-care to ourselves, and that is where it becomes important. And when talking about this, in terms of taking good care of ourselves, we always think, oh, this is going to cost me much. This is going to give me a lot of time. Of course, we'll be discussing about it later too. But just to give you uh, example, if you look at water, when you start boiling water at 99 degrees centigrade, also water is hot. But only when it reaches 100 degrees centigrade, water gets converted into steam. Okay, and when it gets converted into steam, it starts powering engines. It has a power to move machines and so on. Okay, so the degree of difference in the heat is just 1%, which makes water to be more usable, okay, more efficient or effective in terms of doing something. It is the same with us also. Okay, the self-care that we are all talking about these days and therefore in the coming days is like the 1% of change, or like the one additional step that we are all going to take in terms of making a difference in our lives. Okay, so let us look at in terms of what is this 1 degree of difference that we are going to make. Okay, and when we looked at self-care, we thought, yes, yesterday, going back to yesterday's presentation, okay, it is a very simple, self-care is very simple. As Madam was saying yesterday, it is a very cheap thing to do. People think it is a very cheap thing to do, but it is a very powerful formula. Okay, and basically, if you look at self-care, it is talking about healthy habits and taking care of minor and long-term conditions. Okay, that is what we need to look at. Basically, that would result in a longer, healthier life and less strain, okay, on health services too. And as we were talking about yesterday, we saw that in terms of when no proper self-care is given, today we are looking at the statistics, in terms of health statistics, we find that almost 80% of them are dying only due to non-communicable diseases like heart diseases, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and so on, which are basically a result of certain unhealthy lifestyle, okay, and stress and trauma that we all experience both in personal life and also in professional life. Only if we are able to manage, only if we are able to manage, I think this 80% of the deaths will be avoided or prevented. Whereas that is the kind of a situation that we're living in. But before going in terms of the dimensions of self-care into also, we need to look at certain pillars of self-care. These are very simple pillars which all of you need to remember, which all of us need to talk about and know about. The first thing is knowledge and health literacy. You need to have knowledge and health literacy, both of your own person. Okay, so there is a today with the internet that is available. Okay, you have n number of resources. Okay, to learn and know a lot of things about situations. So that is one thing. The other thing is mental well-being. Okay, and when we're talking about self-care, we are also talking about what to say, mental well-being also a lot. The third pillar is physical activity. Everyone needs to get involved in some kind of a physical activity. The fourth is eating healthy. Okay, that is very important. The fifth pillar is avoiding risk, not trying to put yourself into certain kinds of risky behavior and things like that. That is very, very important. It is, in a way, trying to respect your body, trying to respect yourself, and not endangering your own selves. That is very important. And the sixth one is good hygiene. Maintaining a good hygiene, okay, a personal hygiene is very, very important. Okay, all these are interconnected in a way, because you cannot say that one pillar is important and the other pillar is lesser important. No, all these are equally important and they need to be taken care. And the last one is rational use of products and services, especially in terms of medicines and things like that. Today, we have this culture wherein we think the moment you get a headache, immediately you want to pop up a pill. The moment you get a headache, you immediately want to do something. Okay, like let us say put apply gentle balm and things like that. But of course, it is something which gives you relief. But most of the time, we don't look into what is the major reason for all these kind of things. It might be actually some kind of an lifestyle problems that we are going through. Okay, but these are quick relief that we find. Okay, but even we all know. Okay, we all know that even popping up too much of pills, even ordinary pills, like let us say that are for cold, for headaches, okay, and fever and things like that, are not even healthy when you take it too much. Okay, anything that is too much is harmful for your health. So that is very important. Anyhow, of course, you will see that these 7 pillars of self-care will be repeated again when we talk about the dimensions of self-care. Okay, moving on, let us look at the dimensions of self-care. So basically, we're looking at 5 dimensions of self-care today. Okay, and the first and the foremost dimension is the physical dimension. The second is the psychological dimension. The third one is the professional dimension related to your workplaces and environment. The fourth is your emotional dimension, relationships, okay, and things and so on, family relationships and so on. The fifth one is your spiritual dimension, because man as the human being has to balance all these aspects. If only we are able to balance all these dimensions, it would give us a better and a holistic life and a balanced life. All dimensions are equally important. It is not that I should focus too much on the physical, I should ignore the psychological. Okay, you should have a balance of all the 5 dimensions to become a more holistic and a happy person. Okay, both in a personal and professional life. That is what is important. So let us look at each dimensions and looking at the physical self-care. Okay, the physical dimension of self-care. So what are some of those things that we can do? What are some things that we can adopt? The first and the foremost thing is healthy eating habits. That is very, very important. Trying to avoid junk foods, trying to eat foods that are totally unhealthy, like fast foods and so on. Okay. Of course, with today, we are very much used to certain things we cannot avoid, but at least you can avoid the frequency of eating such sort of foods. I think that would be the best thing in terms of trying to respect your own body and in terms of your health. The second important thing that you can do is sleep regularly. Sleep is very, very important. Actually, there is a video I will be just sharing with you in the next slide. We'll talk about it. And the most important thing in terms of this sleep is it regenerates your body, it restores your body, and it helps you to face a new day. That is very, very important. And it is not sleeping any time of the day, anywhere you want. It is a regular sleep, which means 8 hours a day at a regular frequency of intervals. That is what is important. The next one is engaging yourself into activities and hobbies. Of course, we are all busy with work, with personal life and professional life, but it is always important that you find what you are good at, what interests you as part of a hobby. Have a few hobbies for yourself, whether it is in terms of like, whatever it is. It can be like reading book can be a hobby, listening to music could be a hobby. Okay, even what to say, dancing could be a hobby. Okay, you can also do something like a painting that could be a hobby. Okay, something else. It doesn't have any particular demarcation. There are numerous scopes that is available in terms of the hobbies and activities that you can get involved into today. So try to do that on a regular basis as part of your physical self-care. Then exercise. The most important thing is exercise. At least a minimum of 30 minutes of exercise is very much important for all of us every day. Every day. And I'm not going to elaborate on the benefits of it because there is the n number of literature that is available already. You can go and look at the benefits of it, how your dopamine levels or the happy hormones, where we were talking about yesterday, whether it is dopamine or serotonin or oxytocin or endomorphin, how all these hormones are getting influenced, or how you can generate them more. Okay, how you can increase it more in terms of your body by getting involved in certain uh, exercise. And the other important thing is also, like, most of the time we think when we talk about exercise, we always think about only going to a gym and doing it. But there are also other ways of doing a lot of things at home too. Okay, helping your parents, helping your what to say, helping your parents at home, helping your partner at home, and things like that. Trying to do a little bit wherein you will gain a little bit of physical exertion. Okay, that is also important. Okay, and the next important physical self-care is in terms of medical care whenever needed. This is basically talking about being responsible to yourself, especially at times when you are sick. Okay. There are people who think like when I'm sick, there's no need for me to go to a doctor. I'll be okay by all by myself. No, that is totally wrong. There are certain things like there are certain illnesses like let us say a common fever or a common cold, which you can just do some sort of home remedies and you can just get treated. That is fine. But there are certain situations which might be totally different. Okay, and if you are still struggling, some people are quite adamant that they will not go to a doctor, which is totally wrong because you need to respect your body. Which means if there is something wrong with your body, you need to get it treated. So timely medical help needs to be provided to your body if you are showing some sort of symptoms which is being sustained in the body for more than 3 days or so. Even a common cold, let us say even a common cold, if you have if you have a common cold for 3 days, I think it is okay to self-medicate yourself. But if you think that even after 3 days of a common cold continues, I think it is a sign of some sort of an infection, and it is always better that you provide medical attention by going to a doctor, visiting them, and trying to uh, get the medical help needed. So don't ignore your body. Give it always the necessary medical care that it needs. Then it is not only the next important thing is preventive medical care. It is not only important that you always provide medical attention only when you are sick. No, but the most important thing is you should always look at prevention aspects, which is very, very important. Okay. So try to do something like your exercises, your sleep routine, and things like that. So that what happens is these things will avoid a lot of health problems for you or health complications that you might face. As I told you, today most of these deaths, most of these problems that we see are only happening because of lifestyle diseases, and most of them are non-communicable diseases, which if you have a certain routine, which can be totally avoided. Okay, so those are the preventive medical care aspects that you can always do. Okay. And the next thing is intimacy between couples. Yes, among the married couples. Okay. One of the physical aspect of self-care is sex. Yeah, sex is also a kind of physical self-care aspect wherein basically the oxytocin is released because it is called the love hormone. Or it does not necessarily need to be the sex. It also can be intimacy between a mother and a child is also intimate. Hugging is quite intimate. Okay, among friends and things like that. So even touching, okay, children need to be touched, children love to be kissed, children need to be hugged and so on. So all this is also very, very important as part of your intimacy with friends and also with your partner. Okay, so that is also important aspect as part of your physical self-care. And the last two important things that we are talking about is in terms of taking time off from work. If there is something that you need to take time off, let us say today you have a some function at home, take off from work. It is not that you're going to do it every day, once in a while. It is good. It is good for you to take off from work. And the last thing is take vacations. You have holidays. There is a provision for holidays. Take vacations. Okay. Make use of your holidays. Don't say that I will save my vacations, I will make money out of it, or I will try to prove as if I'm a very good employer that I have been here for all working days and so on. Nobody is going to help you because ultimately you might get all those honors and recognitions, but if you are not happy with your personal life, that is naturally going to affect your professional life ultimately. So try to do all these things with a very good balance and try to have such develop. We are just giving you an indicative of few activities. There can be many other activities also in every dimension which you can adopt. Not that everything will be applicable to every person, but whatever is applicable to you, you can take it up. Okay. Basically, when looking at the self-care, physical self-care, I wanted to show you this video. Okay. Uh, we talk about something about especially about sleep, okay, especially about sleep. And when talking about sleep, I wanted you to basically look at how sleep is important. And when talking about sleep, we talk about something in terms of the circadian rhythm, okay, wherein we'll talk about it later. Maybe we'll just watch this video and then get back. So basically, we are talking about the circadian rhythm, which says that our body needs to be aligned with the 24-hour cycle of the day. And basically, when we look at it, especially here, we are talking about in terms of the 24 hours, in terms of our one day activities. Okay. So basically, if you look at it, they say research has proven that our bodies are very much in uh, in tune with nature and especially with the sun. Okay, so what happens is if you look at this particular circadian rhythm, this diagram, it clearly tells you that let us start from 2 o'clock. Okay, 12 o'clock is midnight, all of us are sleeping. Okay, sleeping, you should be sleeping. If you're sleeping, that is good. Uh, Maybe like 2 o'clock is a time, 2 o'clock in the night is a time when most of us get our deepest sleep. Okay, so that is how there is a lot of sleep, deeper sleep that we go through at 2 o'clock. And by 4 o'clock, we have our body at the lowest temperature. Okay, lowest temperature. But between 4 to 6, what happens is the body slowly starts to rise your body temperature and your heartbeat also starts increasing. Okay, so basically the body is preparing you to get up, wake up. Okay, so somewhere around 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, or 6 o'clock, you're waking up. Okay, and the body has naturally made done this aspect. Okay, taking care of this aspect and has is making you ready for the day. Okay, so that happens and you are awake. And once you're awake by 6 o'clock, you see by 6:30, you are having a very sharp blood pressure rise. And why is this happening? Because the body is releasing all these kinds of hormones into your body because you need to act, you need to go to work, you need to do household chores and things like that. So you need to do all these things. So the body is preparing you from this. And what happens is by 7:30, your melatonin secretion starts. Melatonin secretion is basically something that reduces your stress, puts you to sleep, and so on. So by 7:30 itself, your melatonin secretion totally stops, which means it leads you into a high state of alertness. So by 10 o'clock or something like that, you are in a high state of alertness. The time for you to be in office, to do tasks, okay, to take up challenges every day in offices that you come across, to meet your clients, to solve their problems, okay, or whatever it is, okay, and to deliver results, okay, to deliver results to your team or to your higher ups and so on. So all this happens from this 10 o'clock onwards. That is why you have high alertness at this point of time. And then you have your noon, after which the body is still trying to move on. And late in the afternoon, you see from 2:30 onwards, your coordination is at its best. Okay, because over a period of time, you're working and so on, and the secretion of certain uh, um, fluids is so high. So naturally, we are moving into that phase, and the sun is also at its peak. Okay, and what happens is your reaction time is also quite fast. Okay, all this happens throughout your, and this particular period of time, right from 10 o'clock till this 3:30 or 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, is a time wherein you are highly alert, your coordination is high, you have fastest reaction time, okay, and your also vascular efficiency and muscle strength is also quite high, which means this is the time wherein your body needs to be more active. You're more active, and especially around 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, you see there is a high greatest cardiovascular efficiency and muscle strength. I think this is very important at this point of time, wherein this is a time for you to hit the gym or do some workouts and so on. And if you look at any of the world records that have happened, most of the world records have happened between this point of time. It is between like 3:30 to 5 o'clock. Okay, because that is a time wherein you have highest cardiovascular efficiency and muscle strength. And most of the world records have been broken only at this point. The research says that. Okay, research says that. So, and naturally, what happens is after 6 o'clock, as the sun sets, we are moving slowly into the night. So what happens is there is a high blood pressure and your body temperature is also high. Okay, we are and by 7:30 it is almost 6 o'clock. It is dark and so on. So naturally we are in a state of retiring and things like that. But since we are increasing our body temperatures and so on through work and things like and stress of the day and things like that, our exercise and so on, we are there at a high body temperature and a high blood pressure. And somewhere around the 9 o'clock, you see again the body starts secreting melatonin. Okay, wherein this melatonin tries to reduce your temperature, it reduces your body pressure and slowly puts you back to sleep. Excuse me. So that is what is very important in terms of this circadian rhythm. And the other thing is, it is not only important that you follow circadian rhythm. It is very much important that you have a regular schedule, and the circadian rhythm itself tells you how you should plan your entire day. So that is very important. Then moving on into the second dimension, we move on to the psychological self-care dimension of it, wherein there are certain things that we all can follow and practice every day. Certain things like the first thing is practice being mindful. Take time every day and try to be mindful. Mindfulness is nothing but being aware of the environment that is around you, what is happening around you, being aware of the kind of emotions that you are going through. Okay, and this will also be discussing in terms of the emotional aspect, where we talk about how meditation and so on helps us in terms of practicing being mindful. Okay, so that is in terms of being mindful. Then setting goals for yourself is very important, because as individuals we always look forward in terms of achieving something. Okay, so what happens is whenever you achieve something, you feel happy about it, right? So everyone as such, both in personal and in professional life, we should set certain goals for ourselves. Okay, and we should try to work continuously on them and try to achieve them. And once you achieve them step by step throughout, as you and also as you progress, you see that you have a very good feeling about yourself, and you feel that you are achieving in life and so on. So that is another important thing. Then, as part of setting goals for yourself, also you need to also develop a plan for caring for yourself. We are talking about self-care. So when talking about self-care, it is also very important as part of your psychological self-care. You should have a plan for caring for yourself. Maybe there is a routine or something like that where you say every day these number of hours at this point of time where I will spend time with myself. I will spend on a particular aspect of it, trying to spend my time, or time for reflection, a time for journaling, and things like that. So that is very, very important. And this plan is not a plan which needs to be followed once in a while, but it has to be followed regularly. Okay, every day, and then only it gives you very good results. And the other important aspect is journaling. Okay, journaling is very, very important in terms of the psychological self-care, wherein every day you can talk about when you can do some sort of a journaling and things like that. Like earlier days, we used to have people used to have diaries and they used to write about something every day that happened in their lives, whether it is positive or negative. Okay, it is a very good way because at the end of the day, when you're starting and sitting and writing about a day, whatever you have gone through, you're reflecting on what is that you have learned, what is it that has impacted you in a positive way, what is it that impacted you in a negative way. The mere reflection of this process itself, the mere reflection of this process and putting it down itself helps you a lot to overcome a lot of negativity that you have faced that day, which is basically our secondary trauma or a primary traumatic stress that you have undergone. So that is very important. Then the other important thing is take time for reflection and relaxation. As I told you, right, every day after you sit back, let us say in the evening when you go back from work, okay, after you sit back, you should at least try to sit back and reflect and think about what are the three things that I'm happy about today. Or let us now take the moment, okay, let us now take a few moments, okay, and think about three things that you are happy today. Just recollect among yourselves. Maybe I'll give you a few minutes. So let us say like it need not be very big. When we think about all these things, we always think of things in very big terms. Let us say like, for example, I'm happy today that I'm alive, which is a very big thing today, especially in the context of COVID-19 when we are living. I'm happy today that I'm not infected with COVID-19, or I'm happy today that I'm healthy. I'm happy today that the climate is very pleasant in Chennai today, right? I'm happy today that I have very good air to breathe. I'm happy today that I have a food to eat. I'm happy today that I have clothes to wear. I'm happy today that I have people who love me, my parents, my friends, my colleagues. Okay, so n number of things like that. So you should be able to reflect these things because all of us take these things for granted. All of us take these things for granted, but it is very, very important in terms of taking time for such sort of reflections. That is very, very important, and also to relax. There also needs to be time for relaxation. Also, it is not like that you start in the morning and throughout the day you keep on running around. Okay, you also need to relax yourself wherein you do something like listening to music or reading a book or something like that. Do something and try to relax yourself, doing nothing at all, or don't do anything. Don't even read a book. Don't even listen to music. Just be there. Just spend time with yourself, as it was mentioned here. Take time to be with yourself. Okay, take time to be with yourself and try to see and just spend time with yourself. That is very, very important. Okay, and that can be done with other aspects like in terms of like doing a meditation or something like that and so on. We'll deal with it in terms of emotional self-care aspects too. Then the other important aspects is in terms of trying to engage with positive friends and family. When you engage with friends and family, it is very, very important because the aspect of supportiveness comes in. Okay, you develop a lot of trust with people. That is very, very important. Okay, and you know that there are people who will support you. Okay, so this kind of an reinforcement is very much important for all of us as individuals. Okay, so that is very, very important. And family time and time with friends is very, very important. You need to make time for that. Okay, so that is very, very crucial as part of the psychological self-care. Then the other important aspect of self-care is try to detox yourself. Today, especially with the technology and so on, most of us don't try to relate with people to the extent that we relate with our gadgets. Either it is our laptops or either it is our what to say, either it is our mobiles, we are more attached to them than to people. Okay, and there is 24/7. We are either on Facebook or on Twitter or on WhatsApp and things like that. It take time every day also to keep away all these things. Put away all these things for a few minutes. Let us say like 30 minutes or 1 hour. You say this is the time wherein I will not touch any of this. Detox yourself. Okay, that is very very important. Okay, so that is the thing. And the last aspect of the psychological self-care is say no to extra activities. You also in life should learn to say no whenever it is needed. You should never try to please others by just saying yes, because even when you don't want to do it, you might please others, but ultimately that will have a lot of impact in terms of your own life. And you might be pleasing others, but you might not be pleasing yourself in the long run. Okay, so it is very important that you should learn to say no to others also. So these are certain psychological aspects of self-care that all of us need to practice. Then moving on, we also need to look at the other important aspect, is the professional self-care. The first one is taking time to chat with your co-workers. It is important. It does not always work. You also have certain amount of chat with your co-workers, okay, which is quite informal, sharing certain things about families, friends, and things, what you do, your hobbies, and things like that is very very important. Then always set limit with your clients. There needs to be a professional relationship in terms of our work that we do. So it is always very, very important that we keep our personal lives and professional lives totally separate. Okay, that is very important in terms of setting limits with our clients. Otherwise, what happens is sometimes clients should not become part of your personal life, and they always will be there. And you would be like, you don't know whether you are at home or whether you are at work, because constantly you are trying to help someone. Okay, so certain sort of things and all are very important. So that is why in social work, when we talk about it, we talk about in terms of termination of clients. Okay, because when someone has come to you at a certain point of time and the person is okay and all right in terms of the counseling and things like that, you terminate. That's our relationship ends there. You go your way, I go on with my work. Okay, that is something. Then taking breaks during work is very, very important. Every organization provides you break. Take it. Don't try to be like, I will do everything at my desk. You will ask your friend to bring your coffee to your desk. Ask them, please get it. I'm busy at work. I cannot go now. Can you get me a coffee? And sitting and even spending that half an hour or 15 minutes at your desk itself. Okay, all this is all going to add up more and more stress to you. It is better when there's a time that is allotted. It is done with a lot of research and with a lot of insight. They are giving you this particular aspect, this intervals or breaks. Okay, so make use of them. Okay, maybe it will give you a whole new perspective in terms of whatever you do. You are doing something which you are not able to solve. Take a break and come back for 5 or 10 minutes. Just go out. Just stand out there for some time. Breathe well. Okay, then come back. You'll be able to do your work properly and get it done. Then discuss whatever problems or cases that you have with your colleagues. It is very important because when we discuss it with others, we also learn from their experiences. They will also guide us in terms based on their experiences. So it will be useful to us. The other one is make some quiet time to complete your tasks. Every day we have got a certain schedule or a task that we need to complete. So what you can do is during the day you can say, yes, this is a particular time of the day, like within my office, like let us say like half an hour before leaving. It's like it is a quiet time for me wherein I will not talk to anyone, something like that. And you try to finish up and wind up all your work and tasks. That is very, very important to you so that you feel accomplished at the end of the day. Then also having a workplace arranged is also very, very important because this is an environment, the working environment. So, so wherein it is comfortable. Okay, have things which reminds you of your family, have things which reminds you of certain things, which motivates you and things like that. Okay, so that even among a busy schedule, when you are looking at certain things, okay, like a photograph of your kids or your family or something, some quotations that you have, which motivates you and things like that. And when you're walked down by stress and so on, when you look at it naturally, it gives you the comfort and what to say, brings you back to yourself and gives you that strength to go head on with whatever problems you're faced with. Okay. Then the next one is getting regular supervision. It is always important that you be supervised by your seniors, both at workplaces too. Okay, because When they look at it, when they do and when they criticize or when they give feedback to your work, it helps you in terms of improving yourself. Okay, which at times we might not be aware of. So it is always important that we do that because it will improve our effectiveness and our efficiency. And diversify your caseload. Let us say you're doing something where you know that this is affecting you a lot negatively. So it means it is better that you stop working on that particular case. Leave it to someone else, and you move on somewhere else because you know the impact that a particular case has on you is totally negative. Okay, and that is a way to make your work effective also. It is not like you go hitting hard on it, saying that I will solve this all by myself. No, it only hurts you more, and it also hurts the client more. So diversify your caseload. That is important. Then participate yourselves. We remember the pillar of knowledge. We talked about the pillar of knowledge. So constantly update yourself with regular knowledge by going for certain educational programs, online certification or trainings that you can do. Okay. And then if at all there are peer support groups within your professional circles, be part of it. Be part of it so that you can also learn from each other mutually, and you can also improve your skills and so on, and become more effective. Okay, then negotiate your needs. Here also we are talking about saying no. Okay, whenever you need to say no to your bosses or your superiors, be bold to say no. Not that you can compromise, just because you should not say, oh, I will lose my job or they will think bad of me. So today I will sacrifice my family time. I will sacrifice my time not going on time. I will sit and work for another 2 hours, 3 hours. That is fine. No, it is not so. You need that time. So you need to be very clear and you should negotiate. And when it is negotiated much earlier, that doesn't create a misunderstanding between you and your team. Okay, because they know that this time is something very crucial for you, or this time is something that is very important for you, and no one is going to push you at that point of time. So making ourselves very clear in certain aspects also is very good. Then, of course, all of us go through certain amount of stress in our professional life. So constantly growing through certain amount of stress management training programs is always good, which will help us in terms of handling these kinds of daily stressors that we go through. Okay. Then moving on to the emotional self-care aspect of it. Okay, the certain aspects these are certain aspects which are very, very important in terms of our life. Also the important dimension of self-care aspect too. The first thing is spend time with those you enjoy with. It can be family, it can be friends. Okay, because that also is important. Trying to spend time with your family is very, very important, and trying to because here at an emotional level, it is trying to impact you. It is a feeling wherein you might feel loved, you might be feel cared, because we too are human beings. We also want to be loved, we also want to be cared, and so on, right? So when you're with your friends, they take care of you, so you feel cared. So that is very important. Okay, so and you enjoy that time. So it is apart from work. It is apart from work. So you are into a totally different area. So that is very important. Then the other important thing is in terms of allow yourself to experience a range of emotions. See, we all go through life, both work and personal life. There are a huge amount of emotions that we all are going through. What happens is as you go through, there might be sadness, there might be happiness. Allow yourself to enjoy that, to go through it, to go through it. What happens is you cannot say or you cannot ignore if you're feeling sad. If you're feeling sad, accept that you're feeling sad and let it go. That is what is important. Okay, the foremost step is accepting it. Yes, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling sad because of this particular aspect. And the moment you accept, naturally, it helps you in terms of how to overcome it. Or if you're feeling happy, accept that you're feeling happy. Okay, so that is very, very important. Or if you feel sometimes like, let us say you're going through the worst day of your life, and if you feel like crying, go to your room, okay, or get into your bathrooms and cry for some time. It is always good. There's nothing wrong about it. And there is also a lot of social constructs which say men should not cry and men feel bad about it and things like that. But research says men who cry are also the strongest personality. Okay, and things like that. So all these kind of things you should allow yourself. Okay, or let us say Grief. Okay, you have lost someone, your loved one, and so on. There is a grief. You have lost your pet and someone. There is grief. Accept that you are grieving. It is important. Okay, and only by mere acceptance of it, you will be able to overcome that particular emotion. Then the other thing is, it is also important as part of our emotional self-care. You talk about your work and your personal life demands with a few trusted friends and family. How you are coping up with your life challenges, how you are managing your workload, and things like that. It is very, very important to discuss. This you cannot, of course, you cannot talk to everyone. With a few trusted friends who will be supportive, who will be encouraging, and who will help you in terms of, let us say, like supportive in terms of helping you how these things could be managed and so on. Of course, you might have friends and colleagues, so you can, or even your own life partner. Okay, so you can talk to them. Then it is also important. It is also important that you praise yourself. You have done something right. You know you have achieved something. Don't look for someone else to praise you first. Praise yourself. Okay, you have achieved it. Be happy about it. Give yourself a pat on the back and say, yes, you're good. Okay, you're capable. You have done it well. Okay, so that is very, very important. And why we are talking about this is when sometimes what happens is when we are not even praising ourselves, even if the other person praises, we are not going to accept it because there is some kind of a block in my mind which says, okay, I'm not good enough or I'm not done good enough. When you have that, basically have that feeling, even if your superior or your team member is giving a genuine feedback or praising you, you might not take it considerably as something genuine or take it as something honest. Okay, so this is very, very important. Okay, when you have done something good, appreciate yourself, and even if others appreciate you, accept it. That is important. Then playing with children is another important emotional self-care because playing with children is very, very important because children are alive and active and they are in the moment. They always live in the moment. So when you play with kids, you become one with them. You become like them. So you forget about everything. You are there that moment. You're playing with the kids, enjoying the whole thing with them. So that moment is very, very important, and that is very much part of an emotional self-care. And remember, we were talking about being mindful. Okay, this is also like being mindful. Okay, you're playing, so all that you're doing is only playing and enjoying the play at that point of time, not thinking about anything. So that is very important. And the last thing in terms of your emotional self-care is trying to read books apart from your professional books. Trying to read books, novels, or something like fictions or whatever you like. Okay, your favorite books, or watching movies or something like that. Okay, whichever you like. Try to read them quite often. Make it a regular habit. Or sometimes you can also reread certain favorite books. You have certain favorites of your books or certain favorites of your movies. You can reread them or rewatch them at regular intervals, so that it also helps you a lot in terms of professional self-care. Okay, sorry, in terms of your emotional self-care. The next important task, the next and the last dimension is your spiritual self-care. Okay. When we talk about spiritual self-care, one particular aspect that most of us think is like, okay, we are going to talk about religion. No, spirituality is not religion. Spirituality is beyond religion. Okay, I would say spirituality is trying to be human, trying to be empathetic, and trying to be happy. Very simple. Okay, and this does not need you to be part of any particular religion and so on. So, what are those particular things that you can do as part of your spiritual self-care? Uh, Spend time in spiritual community. Maybe if you are part of any particular religion or something, and if you like going to churches or temples or mosques, whatever it is, go there. Okay, there's a lot of science that is built within our temples. Let us say, like if you go to a temple, you go around the temple, you go around the deity, and things. Our temples are quite big. Why is that purpose? The scientific purpose is like it is not only in terms of visiting the temple, but you're also doing the sort of an exercise which you takes almost like half an hour or so, wherein your body exerts a little bit, and naturally this is the physical self-care also is integrated along with it. Okay, and things like that. Then practice gratitude. Be grateful for whatever was there in your life. That is very, very important. Be grateful for what is happening in your life, both the professional and personal life. That is very important. Okay, pray. Pray every day. That is very important. Prayer is not something that is very religious. Prayer can be even a good wish that you wish for a person within your family or friend. Okay, that can be a very that is a prayer. Of course, it is a good wish. You wish something good for someone, that is a prayer for them. Okay, so that is very important. Then the other important thing is always look at in terms of reading something inspirational. Okay, so something that will inspire you. So look at some authors, find out some authors whom you like, who are quite inspiring and so on. Try to read them. Then the other important thing is always try to spend some time with nature. Okay. Recent studies in Japan have shown that people are very productive when they spend time with nature, and there are specific periods of time wherein the company itself gives them allowances for them to go into the forest and spend time in the forest and come back. Because they found when people do this, naturally when they are in with nature and when they come back, their productivity levels are going high. So trying to spend time with nature is very, very important. Just bird watching, just walking around, going for a walk and spending some time with this one, just sitting around a lake or a pond or whatever in the urban environment, whatever is feasible for us. Going to a park, okay, going to a park, sitting there and just having a chit chat, I think so all this. And it is also important, like you can sing. Not that all of us, not that all of us cannot sing. All of us can sing. Okay, but not like maybe we are all not professional singers, but we have our own voice where we can sing within our bathrooms. Okay, it's not a problem at all. So sing and be happy about whatever you can. That is also another spiritual self-care. Then visualize always yourself at the beginning of the day to have a positive day, which is very, very important. Don't always start your day with a positive mindset and think that whatever you're going to face today is going to be positive and it is going to be quite productive and so on. Okay. Then the other thing is in terms of meditating and practicing yoga. Yoga also can be yoga means it can be both in terms of exercise and in terms of it helps both the body and the mind. Yoga basically helps both the body and the mind. Usually they say that yoga helps by controlling of your senses or the body, you control your mind. It gives you a lot of control over your mind by controlling your body. The postures that are used in yoga helps you in terms of getting uh, more focused and so on. So that is the science that is related to yoga. But there is always a religious connotation attached to yoga. When we say yoga, we always think about, oh, that is something related to some religion. I should not adopt it, and so on. But it is not something that is particular or it is owned by a particular religion or something. The Vedic way of life looked at man as something who needs to be who is one with nature and who needs certain aspects in order to be in balance with himself. And that is how these methods, scientific methods, were evolved. And today everyone is practicing it. So why not you? So try to find someone else who's a professional, learn something. And there are different types of yoga and things like that, and even different types of meditation and so on. So try to learn that and try to adopt that. That is very, very important. Okay. And meditation, of course, meditation is also another important exercise that all of us can do. Maybe it will not suit everyone, and maybe all these might not suit everyone. Maybe you can look at what are those which might suit. And there are also different kinds of meditation. So you should take this effort in terms of trying to identify and find out which suits you better, what kind of meditation suits you better, and then go ahead. Okay, as part of this exercise, I thought, as part of this session, I thought let us have an experience of a 5-minute meditation. I will play this video. I want all of you to sit relaxed and just follow the directions that is given in this particular video.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. Can you increase the volume of the video, sir? We are unable to hear the audio.
Yeah, yeah. Kritika, is it audible? Hello,
Now,
Kritika.
sir? Yes, sir.
Is the audio audible?
Yes, sir, but it's very feeble.
Yeah, I think that is the maximum that I can this one. Or I can just share it later also. It's not a problem.
Yes,
But let
sir,
them
we
go
can
through
do
it.
that.
Yeah, let them go through this.
So, can you try unplugging the earphone? Probably, I think it would be audible. Yes, so can you play the video now?
Okay, I think this audio isn't so audible. So what I will do is I'll just move on with the next one. Maybe I will just share it with you. I will share this link with you so that you can. Yeah. So I will share this link with you. Maybe you can just even practice it later, so that you can just have an experience of what meditation is. Maybe at the end of the session, I will also share it with you. And the other important thing is when we talk about self-care. Okay, we're almost towards the end of it. So these are the 5 dimensions that we're talking about in terms of the physical dimension, the psychological dimension, the emotional dimension, and the spiritual dimension. Okay, so then and the professional dimension. But these activities I mentioned are only an indicative activities that we have mentioned. These are very few things, but it also depends on your personality, and it also depends a lot in terms of what you like and what you don't like. Maybe you should explore the possibilities and see what are those things which I like to do as part of my physical self-care, my professional self-care, my emotional self-care, spiritual self-care, and things like that, or psychological self-care and things like that. And try to adopt a few of those and make it as a routine for you. Make it as a routine for you, which is very, very important. And have them as a regular thing that you do over a period of time. And when talking about self-care, we always think there are certain myths. There are certain myths we need to know about. The first thing is we think that self-care is an indulgence. Okay, we think that self-care is an indulgence. No, self-care is never an indulgence. But as mentioned right from the beginning, it is creating a purpose. Okay, it is creating a purpose, and it is also meaningful. Okay, it is also meaningful to involve in self-care because it brings about mindful changes. Okay, it brings about mindful changes in the patterns of your thinking and the patterns of your behavior, which ultimately would contribute to your overall well-being. Then sometimes self-care is thought to be selfish. It is totally wrong. Self-care is not selfish. Okay, when you need to prioritize yourselves too. Okay, you need to prioritize yourselves too, and that is important because when you make yourself a priority, what you are doing is you are giving yourself sufficient rest and also sufficient exercise. That is important. And by doing so, what happens is you feel more energetic. You feel more energetic. And when you're more energetic, you're able to do more. You're able to perform well. Okay. And it is not only for yourself, it is not only for yourself, you also are able to help others because of the energy that you are able to create. And you're, let us say, you're more smiling, you're more happy, and so on. So naturally, what happens is when you smile more naturally, it is quite infectious. The people around you are quite happy. They also start smiling and so on. So that is the kind of the impact that self-care has on you. So that is very important. The third myth is it is seen as a one-time experience. Like let us say like I want to do self-care, so let me take 1 week vacation. Let me go to some ashram. Let me do it and come back. No, no, no. Self-care is not like a one-time activity wherein you do it in a one particular day and uh, at a certain point of time. What you do is you start looking at it and so on. No, that cannot happen. Okay, but it is trying to look at an ongoing practice wherein you try to build resilience. We'll be talking about all these things in the coming days, resilience and so on. Okay, so building resilience for yourself in terms of facing hardships. It is not about facing hardships only when they come, but you are already preparing yourself throughout your regular session. And in terms of trying to prevent burnouts. Okay, we spoke about preventive healthcare measures, right? So this is also kind of a preventive healthcare measure wherein you try to prevent your burnout. And the last one is we always think that self-care is time consuming. Okay, so it is never time consuming. It doesn't need a huge amount of time, energy, or money. All that it needs is it requires a commitment on your part. It requires a certain amount of regular time in your part. Okay, from all the 24 hours that you are spending, just think you are spending 24 hours of your day. Can't you spend half an hour or 1 hour of your time for your own self? And all that we are doing it is only because we want it for ourselves. So finally, looking at it, I think we are come to the end of the session. So we also need to know what is real self-care and what is fake self-care, because most of the time we should not end up doing things which might even harm us. Okay, so eating healthy food that will fuel your body is something real self-care, but eating restrictedly and eating fat diets, okay, is something very, very bad. Or let us say you want to look slim, or you want to look much younger, so you don't eat, you fast too much and so on. That is also against your body. You're hurting yourself. So that is fake self-care. Drink a lot of water. That is the real self-care. Then consuming drugs or alcohol to relax yourself is a fake self-care, because that is quite harming. Spending time with people that make you happy or feel and that makes you feel enriched, that is the real self-care. But at the same time, escaping from situations and trying to spend time with people just to avoid situations or just to avoid certain feelings that you are going through is a fake self-care. Okay, meditating and being mindful, practicing this is real self-care, whereas overindulging yourself in terms of unhealthy coping mechanisms, okay, that will only make you feel good for that moment, but will not long last up, is a fake self-care. Okay, then moving your body because you can and it is fun is real self-care, maybe in terms of exercises or whatever you do. Okay, but sometimes people also overindulge in terms of exercises. They try to, because they want to get diverted or they're quite angry. So what they will do is they'll hit the gym, they'll start working out so hard. And they think that by working out so hard and things like that, they'll get over this anger. So actually you're not helping yourself, actually you're punishing your own self, which is a fake self-care. So be mindful of it. Then giving yourself positive affirmation every day in the morning is very, very important. And sometimes this happens as a fake self-care wherein it becomes as an aspect of overconfidence. Or yesterday we were also talking about the superhero. Okay, so whatever you think, whatever you do, you always think that you are right. Okay, that is also very dangerous. That is part of your fake self-care. So always look at what is the benchmark, what does that exist, and based on that you take it forward. Then setting boundaries, as we said. Okay, setting boundaries is very important. When you say, this is the boundary that I've set. Okay, this is my time, professional time. This is my personal time. Done with it. Or saying to yes to everyone. Okay, your office says today you have to work, and you immediately say yes. Okay, and you're working for them. That is fake self-care. That is not needed. Then occasionally treating yourself as something new, because you deserve nice things. That is important. Okay, buy something new for yourself, clothes, accessories, or something like that, which will make you feel good about yourself. That is your self-care. But if you're buying things just for making yourself happy, okay, or making yourself feel loved more, I think that is fake self-care, because there you are looking at some sort of gratification. Okay, so that is so have this distinction between the real and fake self-care. And this is basically the positive coping mechanisms and the negative coping mechanisms. You should be aware of it. And finally, to conclude, I would say self-care should be a priority. And self-care is a necessity. It is never a luxury. So prioritize yourself and take measures in terms of ensuring that you work on these 5 dimensions of self-care. So to conclude with just a few tips which I would like to give you is like 7 self-care basics. Have at least 10 minutes of quiet time every day with yourself. Start your day with a nourishing routine, maybe affirmations, meditations, and journals. Start a gratitude journal. Write something of gratitude every day. Eat healthy meals and snacks. Exercise 30 minutes per day or stretch daily. Find a hobby and enjoy and start doing it. Develop and maintain healthy relationship with others, families, and friends. Watch no more than 1 hour of TV per day, and also reduce your screen time with mobiles. Having a relaxing evening routine is very, very important, wherein you stretch, you're feeling grateful for what has happened during the day, and also you affirm yourself and praise yourself for what good you have done. Then listening to the messages of your body and the emotions is very, very important. So when you feel tired, take rest, listen to it, don't exert yourself. Then the most important thing, get 8 hours of sleep each night. And why are we talking about this in this situation? This situation is very challenging, and both physically and mentally, especially the context that we are living in now. So if you take care of yourself, you'll be able to push yourself better. And it allows you to find your misplaced self-esteem. When you take care of yourself well, you find your self-esteem. These are the components that we are going to talk about in the further coming days. The other important thing is it helps you to manage your emotions like anger and grief in a more matured manner. And when you do self-care, do self-care, it allows you to overcome things like fear, and when you have fear, you might hold yourself back from doing certain things or from enjoying certain things. So you might overcome such things. And the other thing is positivity is the most important aspect of self-care. And when you do it regularly, it allows you to find peace and happiness. Happiness is another important thing which we're going to talk on the last day of the self-care. And the other thing, reason that why should we do it now is because practicing these techniques of self-care reduces your stress a lot, okay, and leaves you more calm and more control of your lives. That is important. It gives you a lot of time to relax, meditate, and reflect on issues and how to solve them. Then, if with practice of self-care daily, you are able to live a more balanced life. That is very important. And it also gives you a lot of renewed energy. Okay, every day when you do either physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual, okay, or professional self-care, it gives you more renewed energy and new perspectives of how things could be done. And finally, your mind and soul are very important, and they are in harmony. They stay in harmony. And when they are in harmony, naturally, everything that happens around you seems to be uh, good, seems to be productive, and you are more satisfied with your life. Okay. So to conclude, it is the same thing.